Hi. Okay, so I have to talk right here. My camera's in a weird place. Okay. Welcome. So today we are talking about the anger breakup wound, and this is a really important breakup wound. Stuff's moved all around for us to talk about because let's get situated here. Because it's a really powerful one. So we're going to talk about the anger breakup wound today. I'm so glad that you're here, and we're going to be talking about the 5 breakup wounds all week this week. So we're going to talk about each breakup wound each day and spend a little bit of time on that so that you can learn how to actually clear these breakup wounds out of your energy, so that you can get your ex out of your energy, and so that you can make room in your big, beautiful, warm, wonderful aura for your soulmate to come in. Because if you still have your ex in your energy, then that person is energetically taking up the spot of your soulmate, and it means that your soulmate can actually come into your life because that place is already being taken up by your ex, still energetically, right? How much does that suck? This person that you have broken up with, or who has broken up with you and is no longer supposed to be part of your life, is still keeping love from coming into your life, the love that you actually deserve. So we don't want to let that happen. We want you to have the love that you actually deserve to have, and the love that you can actually have. So that's why it's really important to heal these breakup wounds, and we want to make sure that you're able to do that. So we're going to do the anger breakup wound today. Super excited to be able to do this with you, because I've seen the big changes that happen when you heal anger and you're able to move past it. A couple of caveats. This is not going to be the kind of a thing where I just tell you that you need to do a bunch of forgiveness work and get over it. Forgiveness, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but forgiveness is not always the best thing to do when you have an anger wound that needs to be healed. And I'll talk about that in a minute, but please don't think that this is all about forgiveness and that it's somehow like a thing where you just have to forgive. So if people have told you in the past, oh, you just need to forgive, you just need to get over it, that is just bull. That is not true. You don't just need to forgive and get over it. It doesn't make you less of a spiritual person if you're having a difficult time forgiving. It is not even, like I said, it's not even the best thing to do in every situation. So just so that you know that. Hi, Amanda. Hi, love. All right, so here is the situation for the anger wound. What we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk with you about how to recognize whether you have the anger wound. And I'm going to read some of the quotes that are from ladies with this wound, so you can sort of tell if this is you, if you identify with this. I'm also going to explain to you a few scenarios that would definitely result in an anger breakup wound. We're going to talk a little bit about anger and sadness, because a lot of times there's a relationship between anger and sadness, and it's really important to understand what's going on there. We're also going to talk about, hi, Heather. Hi, love. We're also going to talk about some of the ways that we're sort of pressured to forgive that are not healthy, and what we need to do instead to work through the anger wounds. So that's a big deal. After today, you will be able to move forward and definitely have all the tools that you need to be able to move past the anger wound and to heal that anger wound. So we'll do that now. So as you're coming in, just give me a hi in the comments, and I'll be able to welcome you in. As you're coming in, just I would really like it for you to be able to get a lot out of this time together. So it's a really good idea for you to minimize the distractions in your environment the best that you can, and to really give yourself this time for your own healing. That's very, very important. Whether you're watching this live, whether you're watching this as a replay, you really want to give yourself this time. A lot of times women skip over anger as in terms of like thinking about what they need to work on, because they say, well, I'm a very spiritual person and I've done a lot of releasing work, and I'm just not even thinking about this anymore. I'm not really angry about this anymore. But the truth is that a lot of times there is anger that's buried under there. So let's work on that. Let's bring that out. Because the problem is not only that these breakup wounds that we're going to talk about all this week, the problem isn't only that they keep your ex in your energy so that you're having a difficult time bringing in your soulmate. There are two other problems. The second problem is that they make it so that you continue attracting the same situation, because you don't actually, the law of attraction is kind of funky in certain ways. People don't completely understand. A lot of times there's a really common misunderstanding about the law of attraction, which is that if you just focus, if you just want something enough, then you're going to attract it to you. And that's not actually how it works. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you focus on. So if you have this anger in your energy, and if you focus a lot on this kind of anger, then it will attract more situations that make you angry. Because what you're essentially telling the universe is that whatever you're focusing on that makes you angry, you're saying, send me more of that. So that's one of the problems. The other problem is that it can spill over into other areas of your life. It can impact your health, and we'll talk about that in a little bit too. And it can impact your other relationships. Not only whether you allow other people to come into your life, not even just romantically, but it can spill over into your relationships with your kids and with your coworkers and with your siblings and with your parents and everybody else. If you have anger that needs to still be dealt with, it can make it a really difficult relationship for your children, especially because if I see this happen over and over again. I'll see a single mom, and the father may have left, and maybe she has a son, and the son looks a lot like the father. So the mom can't take it out on the father, her anger out on the father, because he's not there, he's absent. So she takes it out on the son who is there, who looks like the father. So that happens all the time. And sometimes it can happen between mothers and daughters, but not quite as much. I don't see that happen as much. So we're going to talk about this today. I'm really glad that we get to talk about this to help this move out of your energy. Super excited about that. And I'm going to just pull up our group here so that I can make sure I see anything that anybody's posting in the group as well that might have to do with this. All right, cool. So I can see the group. Okay, great. So let's get into this. Let's talk about this. First, I want to share with you some quotes that you can, that might help you understand whether you have the anger breakup wound or not. So here are some quotes from women women who've shared with me that the worst thing about the breakup for them, the worst thing about their recent breakup. And I can tell from some of these quotes, some of them are about anger, some of them are about shame, which we're also going to cover because that's huge in our community. Some of them are about fear, some of them are about grief, and some of them are about confusion. But today we're talking about anger. So these are some of the quotes that are about anger. One was, I don't want him back, so why does it bother me to know he's spending time with someone else? And then she says, he doesn't deserve to be happy. Okay, so that's an anger quote, right? It's like one of the features of the anger breakup wound is that you don't want the other person to be happy because you don't think that they deserve it. You feel like they should have to settle their business with you first, and then they get to move on with their lives. So you begrudge them their happiness because they've taken something from you. And so you want to take something from them. You want something taken from them. So that's part of that. Another woman said, I couldn't understand why I was having such a hard time moving on when he's the one who did all the cheating and lying and basically left me to raise our 3 children practically on my own. Why is it so easy for him to move on to the next one and so hard for me? Okay, so that's a really big deal. If your ex left you for someone else, if your ex was cheating on you, for several years while you were together, if your ex moved on really quickly after the relationship, if they were able to marry someone else or commit to someone else and they weren't able to actually commit to you, then those are big triggers for the anger wound. So keep that in mind, because if you're telling yourself, oh, I don't have the anger wound, I might be sad, or I might have been over it, or I might whatever, just know that there could still be a little bit under there if these situations are familiar for you, especially if it happened more than one time in your life. Usually the first time you'll become angry. After that, you start to think that it's something that that you deserve in some way. It's like logically your conscious mind knows that that's not true, but you start to develop these blocks and beliefs that you must have deserved it because it happened to you more than once. So the first time you may get angry, and the second time or the third time you start to think, oh, I always get treated this way, so I must deserve it. And like I said, you don't consciously believe that. It's not what you're choosing for yourself, but because it's so strong, that belief is so strong in your energy, you might continue to attract that. And a lot of it has to do with not dealing with the anger wound in the first place, the first time that that you receive it, the first time that you are wounded in that way. Another woman says, why did I fall for such a narcissistic man who was so full of it? I did more for him than I did for my longest relationship. I feel like I wasted 2 years of dating him just to get my heart broken, and he just brushed it off like he didn't care. I feel like the biggest fool. Okay, so that's a big deal, because when you feel like that, if you feel like that, then you're angry with him and you're angry with yourself. Another woman says, the gaslighting I suffered and his cheating on me were the worst part about the relationships. So gaslighting, if you're not sure what gaslighting is when somebody basically tries to tell you that something you know is true, that you experienced and witnessed firsthand for yourself, they'll try to tell you that that never happened. It's really similar to what Vice President Pence did during the vice presidential debates. It's not similar. It's actually exactly the same thing. It's when someone says something and then you say, you just said this, and they say, no, I never did that. I never did that. I never said that. Or like in this case, it was, I think what was, if I remember correctly, the other vice presidential candidate, Senator Kane, said something along the lines of, how do you respond to, Donald Trump making this statement about Mexicans? And Vice President Pence basically just said, oh no, he never said that, even though there was video, footage everywhere of Donald Trump saying that. And he did that several times. And that happens in relationships a lot of times too, where you'll say something and your partner, your ex, might have said, oh no, that never happened, or I never told you that I was going to do that, or you told me that I didn't have to do that, or those kinds of things. Anytime someone's trying to convince you that what you know is true about reality is not true, then that's gaslighting. That's what it's like a psychological tactic. It's not just lying, because the motive behind it is much more damaging than if someone's just lying to like cover up for themselves. What they're actually trying to make you think is that you are not qualified to judge what is real and what is not. So often when someone is gaslighting you, you stop being able to trust your own judgment. You start thinking that you're crazy, or you imagined things, or different things like that. And you can share if you feel like you might have been gaslit or gaslighted. I'm not sure what the past tense of that is, but if you feel like that might have happened with you in the past, you can let me know. Give me a number 1 in the comments here. And that definitely is a situation that would result in you being angry, having the anger wound, and possibly the confusion wound as well, where you have a lot of obsessive thoughts about your ex. So that's what gaslighting is, and that's what it has to do with this anger wound. A couple other quotes. Yeah, a couple of people are saying that they have been gaslighted. Being cheated on, and especially if the person is really good at hiding it, lying to you, and especially if the cheating goes on for several times, so several years. So someone's saying, I'm feeling so angry with my ex. He cheated on me for 3 years until I found out, and he left me for another woman. So that's another one. So so a couple more ways that you would realize that you have this anger wound. If you feel like he doesn't deserve to move on until he makes things right with you. If you feel like you want revenge, or you feel like he needs to suffer, like he needs to pay for what happened in the relationship, those are classic signs of this anger wound. The thing about the anger wound is that, you really need to express it and deserve to express it. You deserve to get it out. There is such a thing as righteous anger, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. So you really do deserve to get that out. And it's not a matter of like, oh, you just need to get over it. Please don't tell yourself or let anybody tell you that you just need to get over it. Your anger is valid and it's important, and you deserve to express it. And pretending that it's not there or pretending that it's something else is not helpful for you. It doesn't actually help you heal or move forward or have new love come into your life or any of those things. So that's one of the things that we're going to work with today, is making sure that you really understand that you have the right to express that anger. All right, so one thing I want to talk to you about is sometimes your personality type has to do with sometimes your personality type, I'm going to try to say this right, has to do with, sometimes the intensity of your anger wound, or the trigger for your anger wound, what makes you angry, has to do with your personality type. So for example, if lying is a pet peeve for you, if you are just like, you cannot stand dishonest people, you cannot stand when people lie to you, and it just makes you write people off forever, then you may become very angry when someone lies to you, and that may trigger an anger wound for you. Whereas someone else might become disgusted that someone lied to them and write them off, but not become angry. They're just like, oh, that's disgusting and pathetic, but I'm done with you. There's not like the anger, aggression, emotion, energy behind it. So it's a little bit different. So it kind of depends. If being lied to is a pet peeve of yours, if being cheated on is a pet peeve of yours, and actually just to make sure that you understand the context, not everybody sees cheating the same way, and cheating is not a deal breaker for everyone or a trigger for everyone. So, I mean, there are polyamorous people who consensually agree to multiple relationships. So it's like, for them, they are not lying, they're telling the truth to everyone in the relationship, and everyone in the relationship is consenting to be part of the relationship. So it's like a different definition. There's not like cheating involved, because even if you're having a relationship with more than one person, because they both know about each other and they both agreed to be part of that arrangement. So that's a little bit different. So it depends on kind of like what your trigger is, and what really makes you angry, and the expectations that you have about a relationship. So, okay. So I want to talk a little bit about anger and sadness, because this is a really, really big deal. It is more acceptable in our society for women to be sad than for us to be angry. And I don't mean like that we should accept that. I mean that we are socialized to express sadness when we're really angry. And if you think about this, you probably noticed this from the time that you were a little girl. Little girls that get very angry will often cry, and then that continues into adulthood, right? Sometimes when we're very angry, tell me if you cry in the comments. Let me know do you cry when you're angry? And think about this, like, do men cry when they're angry? No, because men we're socialized to believe that men have the right to be angry and that their anger is something that is valid and justified in most cases. But for women, we're taught that we're not supposed to be angry. People are less threatened by a woman who is expressing her sadness than a woman who is expressing her anger. When we express our anger, we are immediately dismissed and belittled and shut down and told that we're crazy, basically. Because our anger as women is very powerful, because angry women get shit done. And anger can be very righteous when there is injustice that's happening, when people are being treated unfairly, when you have been disrespected, when something that is rightfully yours is being taken away from you. There are situations where your anger is a righteous thing. And people are afraid of that. People are afraid of women's anger because our anger is very powerful and it shows that we cannot be controlled. And anytime it looks like a woman can't be controlled, then people freak out because that's just the society that we live in. Obviously, it's much worse in other places in the world, but we're not beyond that. We're not beyond that even here in the United States, obviously. So I want you to understand that that may be sometimes why you or other women express what is really anger as sadness, because you're trying to make other people around you comfortable, or you've somehow received the message that your sadness is okay, but your anger is not. Like that your anger, you may have been angry in the past and had someone tell you it was destructive. So you are not allowed to get angry anymore. You told yourself you can't get angry anymore because it's destructive. And the thing is that sometimes when you are very angry, that's the time that you actually take action to protect yourself and to set things straight in your life that need to be set straight. That's the time when you sometimes are the most honest and say the things that need to be said so that people will stop walking all over you or disrespecting you, and so that you can reestablish a boundary that has gotten foggy for people. So sometimes that's how that happens. But one thing to kind of understand is that even righteous anger is sort of like the pulse button on your blender. So it's like it's good in short bursts. It gets a lot done, powerfully in a short amount of time, but it will wear out your blender if you were just hanging on that button, right? It's like, it's just for short bursts. Like in Galaxy Quest, when they're talking about the warp button or whatever that button is, they're like, it's just for short bursts. It's like that. That's what righteous anger is like. So stuff to think about in terms of anger and sadness. If you may be telling yourself or telling other people in your life that you're sad about your breakup or you're sad about something happened, and the truth may be that you're actually very angry. You could even be furious, because I'll tell you, there are times when I work with clients one-on-one for months. It takes months to get down to the anger. And then once we get to the anger, it's not just anger, it's fury that's under there. Especially a lot of times if we are spiritual but not religious, that's one scenario. And also many, many times if you are Christian, because the Christian religion teaches forgiveness so strongly. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. So we're taught that we are not being good people if we do not forgive. I want to talk about forgiveness and the anger wounds now, because nothing wreaks havoc in your life like misplaced forgiveness. The thing about forgiveness that's crazy is it is a really powerful thing. Forgiveness is letting things out of your energy, releasing things that no longer need to be in your energy, right? It's not really about the other person, because the other person cannot require your forgiveness. They don't deserve automatically to have your forgiveness. It's something that you can give freely, but no one else can expect or demand from you. No one else has the right to expect or demand it from you, right? So forgiveness is like a little bit different. Very, very powerful. But the thing about it is that if you try to go straight to forgiveness when you have been disrespected or lied to or cheated on or whatever it is, if you try to force yourself to be like super zen about that and forgive that and just be like, I'm going to meditate past it, or I'm going to just try to clear out my energy and get over this thing, that's bull, because that's what's called a spiritual shortcut. Because the anger is like your early alert system. It's not even the early alert system. It's like the, it's like the alarm that says like, hey, you need to pay attention to this thing right now. It's like your last call, it's like that kind of a system. And it's telling you that something that you need to rise up, that you need to protect yourself, that you need to change this situation right now, because something that is yours is being taken away. So anger is not a malfunction that you just fix with forgiveness. Righteous anger is your alarm system that says, hey, something that is ours, rightfully ours, is being taken away. And it's time to rise up and protect it. So the spiritual response is not always just like calmness and forgiveness. Righteous anger is the mother of change. People don't change when they're comfortable and everything is great. They change when there is when people are uncomfortable enough to change. So don't ignore your anger or try to skip your anger and go straight to forgiveness and thinking that will help make you a more spiritual person and all those things. You need to always deal with the dark and the light. You can't just hide out in the light. You have to deal with both. This work that we have to do to heal our spirits and to move into the lives that we deserve to have and to really thrive in all of the areas of our life, in health, in money, in work, in life's purpose, all four sides of that perfect square of life. To do that work, it is not always about just being positive all the time. Sometimes it's about going deep to the dark places and turning a light on there so that we can say, oh my gosh, this has been here waiting for me to deal with it. I am strong enough to deal with it now, and I am going to do that now. It's time. When I used to take self-defense classes, we wouldn't take time outs, to drink water or to go to the ladies' room, because our instructor was like, no, you have to go into this with a warrior mentality. If ever your life is threatened, if ever your physical safety is threatened, you need to be instantly in warrior mentality, and you never turn your back on the battlefield for anything. So bring a little bit of that goddess warrior mentality to what you're doing now, and know that you do have to go to the dark places as well as the light places. You can't just hide out in the light. You have to go to the dark places too, to move through those things. And it will be so worthwhile for you to do that. So what will happen in the future is you will never be afraid of the dark. You will stop being afraid of the dark. And when you're not afraid of the dark anymore, you're fearless. You can become a master manifester and bring in the things that you want to have in your life. So, okay, we're talking about forgiveness. So the last thing I want to say about forgiveness in terms of this anger wound is that if forgiveness is for anyone in the situation, it's for you. Don't be so quick to have to forgive this other person. You really need to work out your anger toward this person first. So let's think about this. So now let's go straight to how to heal this. Cool. So first, does anyone have any questions as we're going along? Go ahead and type your questions into the comments and we'll talk about them as we're moving through. And in this next part, I'm just going to talk about how to actually heal this. I'm going to give you 4 things that you can do that will actually help you heal this anger wound. And as I said, please feel free to jump in and ask questions. I'm going to be revisiting this thread. So even if you're watching on the replay, we're not watching live, just know that I am going to be checking back on this thread, and I will come back in and answer questions. I may even answer them with like a little short video. So go ahead and ask your questions, definitely, even if you're not on the call live. And I will make sure that I get back to you. I want to know what you need to know so that we can get you through this anger wound healing. So, number one for how to heal this is speak your anger to the person who actually deserves it. Actually speak this anger out loud. And for some of us, that means calling up that ex-boyfriend and cussing him out. There is no more liberating feeling than to call up that ex and curse him out. I will tell you. So, you know, if this is your thing, if you're able to do this, if your inner wisdom tells you, yeah, go ahead and do this, it's a good idea, go ahead and do it. Don't, you know, it's like if you need to do it, you need to do it, and you just need to get it out. Don't go on Facebook and post those weird cryptic messages that say things like, I can't believe that people will lie and do these things and try to be vague and whatever. It's just petty. It doesn't help anything. It's not therapeutic. It's just like not helpful at all. So instead of posting stuff to Facebook, actually talk to the person that you're angry at directly, grown up to grown up, and tell them what they did and why it made you angry. It's not so much for them. So don't expect them to say to you, oh my gosh, you're so right, I'm really sorry about that, here, let me make it up to you. That's usually not going to happen. It's not for the response. It's because it's for you to say what needs to be said, to speak your truth and get it out. This is particularly important for you to do if you have issues with your throat, or if you've ever worked with an energy healer in the past who talks about your throat chakra being blocked. If that happens to you regularly, if you have a really difficult time telling people what you need and speaking up for yourself, then this might be the breakthrough that you need to be able to ask for the other things that are important for you to have in your life. That might be a promotion. It might be for your kids to do something differently. It could be for friends to treat you differently, or family members to treat you differently. It could mean it could be the one thing that tips you into being able to date. So it's a really big deal to speak up. Now, for some of you, as soon as I said you need to actually speak your anger at this person, you were like, oh no, I could never do that. That's totally fine. If you cannot speak your anger at this person, that brings us to number two. So the number two thing that you can do to heal this is that you can speak your anger to God. Now, sometimes people are weird about this. They think that they're not allowed to be angry with God. And here's what I want to give you to think about. If God can't handle your anger, then who can? Who can? So, of course, God can handle your anger. So you need to speak your anger to God and get it all out. You need to say, this happened and I was treated like this. I cannot believe that this is happening. I can't believe that this happened to me. I can't believe this was allowed to happen to me. You can even yell and scream, how could you let this happen to me? You can say whatever you need to say to God because God can handle it. Okay? And it is not blasphemous for you to be talking to God and from your heart about what you're feeling. So I know that some people are very concerned about that. If you're a Christian, then you may have been raised that it's not proper to talk to God like that or something like that. And I just want you to think about it like this. You know, if God can't handle your anger, then who can? Of course God can handle your anger. Another option for you, if you don't want to be talking to God with your anger, is that you can go out into nature, someplace that's more secluded, where people aren't going to be hearing you, and you can either talk or shout or whatever it is that you need to do with like you're talking to your ex, but you can be talking to yourself. If it helps you throw things, if it helps you whatever it is, then you need to do that. Hi, Wanda, and hi, Margaret. So those things are important. Getting it out is really important. Part of the reason that it's so important to do those things is because if it hangs out in your body, you will get sick. Anger that hangs out in your body turns into disease. So it's really important to get that out in some way. And that means by doing something different. Okay? It means by actually giving voice to that anger. Those vibrations of your voice, when you speak, you are making the air vibrate. You're actually making changes to molecules in the air around you, because that's what speech is. It's you're making air molecules vibrate in a different frequency based on sending that vibration out from your throat. When your vocal cords vibrate, you're actually changing the energy around you when you speak. So your words speak and make a change in the physical world around you, in the air around you, in the universe, the air around you in your environment. And that is powerful. It's more powerful than people think. So you can get anger out. You can push those things out through that vibration. You can push that out by letting that anger come out, letting those words come out, and releasing them from your body, because otherwise they are hanging out in your cells. It's not a coincidence that people that are harboring resentments are more likely to develop cancer. It's not a coincidence that women who have had their husbands desert them and leave them with all of the child care responsibilities and all of the financial responsibilities for the family as the head of the family, it's not a coincidence that those women have more backaches than other women. They're carrying the burden, and it's coming out in their body. It's not a coincidence that when you don't speak the things that you need to speak, you have more problems with your throat. You have more throat aches. You have more, you can develop weird blockages and weird things in your throat. Those things are not a coincidence. Those things are real. Blood pressure problems, problems with your heart. When your heart is broken and you become angry, you actually develop, you can actually develop problems with your heart. And there are physical links to that. When you are angry, your body floods with adrenaline. Adrenaline is one of those fight or flight kinds of hormones. So when you're angry, your body floods with adrenaline, which makes your heart beat, 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 beat fast. So you're wearing out your heart with your anger. And you can have more issues with blood pressure. You can have more issues with congestive heart failure. You can have serious problems with your heart. So broken hearts that come from anger can lead to physical problems with your heart. Okay? So these are all really important reasons to work through your anger and to give it a voice and to express it, not suppress it. Because when you suppress it, it turns into cancer. It turns into all these other physical things because it will be heard. It will demand to be heard. Anger is powerful. It will not be suppressed. So your choice is to suppress it, which means letting it express itself through your body by making you sick, or to express it, which is to get it out. Okay? So hopefully that makes sense to you. Hi, Anissa. It's good to see you. Yeah, it does. A lot of women that have been holding on to anger for a long time, you can see it come out in their body in all of these different ways. So the first thing was to speak your anger to the people who deserve it. The second thing, or the person who deserves it. The second thing is to speak your anger to God. So if you can't speak to the person who deserves it, you can speak your anger to God, and that's just as good. But I want to tell you as a caveat here, I know we've talked about mirror work before, and if we've been working together, if we've been part of my community for a little while, you know how much I love Louise Hay and her mirror work. And I'm going to tell you that when you're doing work that has to do with anger, do not do mirror work. Mirror work is for expressing love to yourself and seeing where your stuck points are. But when you share a bunch of anger in the mirror, it just is like it's coming back to you. It feels like you're yelling at yourself. So this is definitely not something to do with mirror work. Okay, so just please know that. Yes, if your throat is tight and closed, you've got some work to do there, Margaret, because that means that there's stuff you're not saying that needs to be said. That can either be you're not saying you're angry and you're not saying something that because you think it's going to be destructive, and you've been punished for speaking up in the past, or you've been hurt for speaking up in the past because you had a loss. So your anger cost you something big in the past, so you're afraid to express it. Or it could be, there could be another reason that you're not speaking up. It could be more, I'd have to actually connect and see a little bit more what's going on there. But there could be a couple of reasons, but the anger is a really big one. Most of the time it's because we're angry. Most of the time when I see it in women, rather, throat things in women, it's because there's anger that is being suppressed and they're not being allowed to speak what's true to them and to stand up for themselves. So that's a big thing. So third, okay, first was speaking your anger to the person who deserves it. Second was speaking your anger to God. Third is to burn through the anger physically so that it will not make you sick. Now here is how you do that. Because you don't want it to lead to the cancer and backaches and heart problems, blood pressure, stuck throat, all that kind of stuff. So one of the things that you can do is you want to do exercises that feel kind of explosive, like powerful, like quick bursts of things. And that will actually help you burn off adrenaline. It helps you to burn that chemical off in your body, and it helps you to work the anger through your body so that you're not just sitting on it and letting it sink into your cells. So some exercises that are really good for that are kickboxing is great for anger. Punching pillows is great for anger, especially if you make a noise while you're doing it. A lot of times they teach you, self-defense is another really important thing, or the martial arts. Those are two good things, especially if martial arts and self-defense are especially good if you feel like someone has harmed you in the past, because not only are you getting out that anger at that person, but you are conditioning your body to be able to protect and defend itself in the future. And the thing that's weird is when someone hurts you in an emotional way, when someone hurts you in a, like they hurt your feelings, when someone disrespects you, when someone lies to you, someone cheats on you, someone breaks up with you, whatever it is, there is actual inflammation that gets created in your body. Your body responds like it's a physical wound. When you've been wounded emotionally, your body responds to that as though it is a physical wound. So there's inflammation that happens in your body when you are hurt emotionally. And when you do self-defense classes and martial arts classes and things like that, you feel more powerful. You feel like you have the ability to protect yourself from being injured in the future. Like someone's not going to be able to just come in and hurt you. You give your body, when your body goes into fight or flight, when you have martial arts training or self-defense training, you're ready for fight. The fight of fight or flight. So your body goes, I can do this, I can handle this. And it actually makes you calmer because you know if it comes down to fight or flight, you're actually equipped for fight. You know that you are. So it's really helpful. So those are big things. Running is also another thing that's good for a lot of women. Personally, I don't like running because I'm vain. So I'm too vain to run. And the thing about running is that the pounding isn't good for your joints or your skin, because the more pounding that you do, the more you weigh your skin down and it makes your skin crepey and weird. So running is not something that I recommend if you're angry, because living well is the best revenge, right? You can't be all crepey and stuff. It's like we want to show how amazing our lives are and how well we're thriving and those kinds of things. Like we need to have all parts of our lives in order. I remember Helen Gurley Brown said something like, as we move through relationships, as we get older, as we go through breakups or whatever it is that we're trying to, that we're overcoming, the challenges we're overcoming, as we get older, we want to be able to say, up yours to people who would doubt us or who would diminish us or who would be unsupportive of us or whatever it is. We want to be able to say, up yours, and you can say that. What does she say? She says, you can say that from a room at the Y, but nobody will believe you. So we're really wanting to do these things because we want to create the richest, fullest life for ourselves that we can, and give ourselves back all those things that we deserve to have that may have been taken away from us in a breakup. And part of that is our ability to protect and take care of ourselves. You know, it's like a lot of times we say when we're angry, we want revenge, or we want the other person to suffer, or whatever it is. But what it really is we're like, we were attacked and we are attacking back. We're counterattacking, but we're counterattacking kind of in a futile way, because it's like too late and the person doesn't care and they're already gone, or whatever that is. And the best thing to do that makes us feel better is to know that we're ready in the future, and to know that we have a good life that we can enjoy, to know that we're thriving. Like, nobody thinks about, whenever you think about your ex, wouldn't it be amazing for you to be in the best physical condition you have ever been in, to be healthy and strong and sexy, and for you to be wealthier than you've ever been in your life, doing work that you absolutely love, with a new wonderful person in your life who's your soulmate, who treats you better than anybody's ever treated you before? That's the life that you want for yourself, right? And that's what we mean when we say that living well is the best revenge. So we want to help you create all of that for yourself, because you can have it and you deserve it. So the last thing for healing, we talked about speaking your anger to the person who deserved it. We talked about speaking your anger to God. We talked about burning through your anger physically by doing aggressive kinds of exercise. And now the last thing that we want to talk about is giving yourself back the thing that was taken from you. And I've talked about that a little bit when I talked about how living well is the best revenge, right? But I want to challenge you to really think about what that other person may have taken from you, and how you might be able to get that back for yourself. So let's brainstorm a few examples of that together. Now let's say that when you were in the relationship in the past with your ex cheated on you. What do you feel like that took from you? For some of you, you may feel like it took away your ability to trust men. Okay, so that's a very precious thing, because your ability to trust men is what is going to attract trustworthy men. Your belief that men are trustworthy is going to help you attract trustworthy men. So for your ex to take that belief away from you is damaging to your future, not just the time that you were with him, but your future and the life that you want to create for yourself. So don't let him do that. Do the work that you need to do so that you can get that trust back, so that you can give that thing back to yourself. If you feel like you have an issue with trusting men, please let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to share some ideas about how you might want to do that. Some people, and I'll just be looking right now so that I can share those things on camera. Some people may also feel like their anger, that their ex took away their ability to believe that a good relationship is even possible for them. So now when they see happy couples, they feel like it's a lie, or they feel like, well, yeah, that might be for them, but it'll never be for me. So instead of them being happy when they see happy couples, blessing those happy couples and saying the same source that gives them that beautiful love for each other is bringing in my beautiful love for me. Instead of being able to do that, they now have this anger and this emptiness and this coldness in their heart. So if that is you, if you feel like that, then decide for yourself right now that you're not going to let him take one more thing from you. That you're not going to allow your ex to take one more thing from you and from your future. Decide that for yourself right now. And if that is what you want for your future, if you really want that for your future, to be able to move into the future you deserve and to get back the things that you deserve to have, whether they are your beliefs that relationships are safe for you, your belief that there is a soulmate out there for you, oh my goodness, please don't let this ex rob you of the belief that you have a soulmate out there for you. It would be such a tragic thing for this fool from the past to keep you from having your good in the future just because they made you think you didn't deserve it. You know? I mean, it would just be such a tragic thing. So I want you to decide right now that you will not allow this person from your past or anything from your past to take one more thing away from you in your present or your future. And that it's time for you to reclaim those things. And one of the ways that you can do that is that you can actually begin to bless those couples. In the beginning, it's going to feel weird. And I'm not talking about blessing your ex and whoever they're with now. Forget that. Don't even think about that. This is not about that. You do not have to be cool with that right now. What I'm talking about is when you see a happy couple, I want you to bless them. And I want you to say to yourself, the same source that is bringing them that beautiful, rich, fulfilling love is bringing beautiful, rich, fulfilling love to me. The same source that created that joy for them is creating that joy for me. The same source that creates beautiful, happy, loving, committed, stand the test of time relationships for other women is creating it for me. Okay? So I want you to reclaim that, and I want you to take little baby steps back to having back what is yours. Because that's important. It's important for you to be able to take back what is yours. You deserve it. You deserve to have it back, and you can give it back to yourself. They cannot have it. He doesn't get to have your future happiness. He doesn't get to take that away. Okay? So if you are hearing what I'm talking about, if this is really resonating for your spirit, you're understanding this, if I'm speaking to you and you get what I'm saying, you need to let me know in the comments. Give me a heck yes in the comments and let me know that you are committed to healing and you're not going to give one more inch of ground to your ex. And I am here for you, and we're going to go through these breakup wounds together all week so that you can come out of the other side of this week whole and shining and ready to bring your soulmate in. Okay? So that's what we are doing. Yes. Awesome. Wonderful. I'm so, so glad. Okay, ladies. So, if you joined late, go ahead and click back and watch it from the very beginning. I want to hear from you in the comments below this, what you got out of this that was new for you. If you have the anger wound, you can let us know. You know, I've got the anger wound. I know that I have the anger wound because X, Y, and Z. And tell us what it is that you are going to do that's different. Tell us what you're going to do differently from now on. Tell us what you are going to do to work this anger out. Are you going to call this person and give the anger back to them? Are you going to give the anger to God by going out in nature or talking it through, talking it out to God? Are you going to do some kind of physical exercises on a regular basis to burn this through so that you can avoid these physical consequences and diseases and illnesses that result from holding on to that anger? Or are you going to give yourself back something that you deserve? I want to hear from you what you are going to do. Tell me about what you're going to do. And then when you've done it, after you've done it, whenever that is, I want you to come back into the group and I want you to share in the group what you did and how you felt after. So you can post anywhere in Secret Seduction Sorority. Just post anywhere. This is what I did to work through my breakup wound of anger. This is what I did. And this is how I feel now. I want you to share that in the group. Share with me in the group what's going on. You can do hashtag anger wound. You know, just do that. Do hashtag anger wound and I'll look for it. All right. Let me know if you have questions. I'm sending you so much love. You can absolutely do this. Your good is just on the other side of this. It is right around the corner. You can do this. You got this. We've got your back. And I want to hear from you. I specifically want to hear from you. Okay? Sending you so much love. Have a beautiful rest of your day. You can work through this, and I will see you in the group.